So I got asked a question on Instagram by my friend Sev, shout out to you, about the difference between self-respect and selfishness and how to not be so much of a pushover. So I think I think the behavior. I don't even know what I'm saying. I think the best thing that we can do to find a balance between respecting ourselves and being an asshole is being assertive. And to be assertive means you're confident in situations which normally you would find intimidating, and it doesn't necessarily mean we always get what we want. We may have to compromise or negotiate, but it means that we deal with situations a lot better, and we can find that balance between respecting ourselves and also um, being considerate of the people in our lives who we care about. You're not always going to please everyone, and whatever decision you make, there's going to be people that agree with it and there's going to be people that don't agree with it, but you've really got to, stick to what you know is best for yourself. Find a balance between doing things for yourself and putting yourself first, and also being a giving, kind and compassionate person to other people and to other animals. But yeah, I think a lot of the time we know, like, we have that feeling when we know that we're doing something for ourselves, and we know when we're doing something for someone else. And it's just being able to bring those feelings to the surface and act on them in a mature and good way. Self-worth and self-respect is not you being selfish. Looking after yourself should be your number one priority. Like, I don't know, that's my opinion. I don't think putting anyone before yourself is a good idea, because if you aren't happy and looking after yourself and secure, it's going to be really, really difficult for you to radiate happiness and love onto other people. I also think it's a really good idea to identify 10 situations which you would like to be more assertive in. This way you know which situations you're most vulnerable to being super passive and like a pushover, and that means you can move forward from there and work on that, on being more assertive. For my top situation where I felt I couldn't be assertive at all and I was very passive is telling a guy that I didn't want to sleep with him. I used to find that really, and I still do in some ways, find that really difficult to communicate that clearly and not just go along with things. It's also very important to remember that when you say no, and keep this in your head like all the time, when you say no, you're not rejecting the person, you're refusing the request. You're telling someone your limits and your boundaries, and they should be able to respect that without you going on some massive apology excuse rant. To sit down with yourself and become familiar with your values and your limits and your boundaries, so that when these are clear with yourself, when you know your own boundaries and you know what values you hold closest to yourself, it makes it much easier with your communication with people, because you can much more clearly communicate your boundaries and your limits and what's important to you in your life. The way that I think is really good to tell whether you're being selfish or whether you're doing it out of, self-respect, is to notice your immediate reaction. So if there's like hesitation, if you can feel yourself hesitating and that kind of gut uncomfortableness, you really need to talk to yourself and see where that's coming from, and see actually how beneficial it's going to be for you to pursue whatever the person's asking you to do. And if it's something you're not comfortable with from that initial immediate reaction, that's probably quite a good indication of what your next action should be in response to their question. Yeah, if something makes you anxious or if something's upsetting you, initiate something, change something, do something about it, and stop waiting around for something to happen or someone else to do something. Anyway, this video was a bit of a mess. I didn't really plan it. I've just kind of said what's come on the top of my head. Not really sure if it answered the question, but I think there was some bits in there that may have been valuable to somebody. Yeah. Have a great day. Mwah, go vegan. Yes.